All right, so welcome back to the Crown of Command. I've got a very special guest here with Tim Prow. Tim, how are you going?
Not bad, thanks. How are you?
Mate, it's a great honor for you to join us here to talk about some of the wonderful miniatures that you painted way back. I'm guessing like early 80s, early 90s. Am I right?
Well, Games Workshop has started 89 to 93, so yeah, it's been a while.
Absolutely, mate. And I thought we'd start looking at and focus on this particular diorama that you put together. Can you tell us a little bit about the history behind this diorama?
Well, it was a case. Mike and some of the others, Mike McVeigh, had been making cased dioramas for a while, and I managed to find a case, and I liberated it and took it home. And I started making this maybe around 92, 91. And by the time I'd left the company, I was still only just starting it. And it sat on the shelf for quite some time. And then every now and again, I would add a few miniatures to it. I think one of the last ones was the guy with Olivia written on his power fist. And that I did in probably 2012 when my daughter was born.
Wow.
Who thought I'd memorize her memorializer on the miniature.
Well, that's nice to get some kind of, some context as to the background to the miniatures. And I was going to ask you about that because I know there's been extensive conversion work done on a lot of these models, and a lot of the insignia, and of course the name markings and that kind of thing. So Olivia makes a lot more sense now. So that's really interesting. The whole cutaway diorama thing was really from the old Hammer era, wasn't it? Like, you saw it back in the day, people take picture frames and then make these extensive dioramas, which is really cool. And I think it's a great idea. And every time I go to like one of my home centers, I'm always looking at the picture frame and thinking, well, I've really got to do that once in my life, just make one of these dioramas.
Yeah, I used to go to a shop called Habitat, and I would look at things and there'd be like a marble ashtray, and I'd turn it upside down and think that would be a really nice plinth to like put a model on.
Yep.
Yeah, you always like looking as the designers looking for things.
And was this? I'm sure this was featured in the White Dwarf though, like the first level. Am I right? Was it photographed in one of the White Dwarfs at all?
I don't know. I don't think it was. I can't remember ever seeing it in there. Because it was never really quite completely finished. And some of the work on it now, I want to rework because obviously, 30 years later, I can do a lot better.
Sure.
But the painted figures are quite nice. So yeah, I wouldn't touch those, but the backgrounds, the scenery would need to be tweaked, I think.
I think the conversion work and the painting standard is just wow. Like it's really amazing. I think a lot of us are still trying to get to that level ourselves. So yeah, it's really interesting to see. You can see the blending and the iconography that's freehand on the armor and that kind of thing. That requires a whole different skill set, and I think a lot of experience and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time the transfers weren't really there, so we had to just paint our own items on there.
But even like the assault cannon from the Wolf Guard, and that thing, so it's interesting to see the normal power armor guys.
You used to get told off a little bit by the bosses because they'd be like, "It's got to be strict codex kind of stuff. You can't." And now I'm like lobbing Terminator weapons onto Marines and stuff and giving them bladed hands and stuff. It was quite funny.
Well, here's the Olivia model that you painted in 2012. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Again, it was just better getting items. Someone had given me a box set of, I think they were Blood Angels, and I just tweaked the glove to get rid of any kind of blood drops and stuff, and made them gems or like wolf skulls.
I was going to say that plasma pistol looks like a really modern design. Yeah, that's a plastic one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I like this guy, this wolf There's a Wolfguard captain, yeah, like well, Jezgud
Yeah,
ones. Yeah,
yeah. I think I put a cloak on him. I think that's just like tin cuts, and put damage on it, and then placed it straight onto a normal backpack.
nice. Here we are, the usual suspects, the Genestealer brood with the mages.
Yeah, they were nice to paint, especially the ones Mike McVeigh used to paint. They were amazing, some of the details on the robes, so I wanted to emulate some of that.
Yeah, lovely. And the familiars are just fantastic little models, aren't they?
Yeah, there's so much character in them for such a small model.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. Now here we can see this sort of stage where we're up to now, where I know you talked to me before the interview that you had a lot of models still to paint, and this gives a really good perspective of what actually needs to be done. And
there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them that have been painted. The early Tyrannid, the green chap, that was painted a while back and only just started, and then I just resprayed it and I painted it properly. I think you have a picture of that for later. But yeah, I was thinking there's only a few more figures needed to be painted, but then when I added it up, it looks about 20 or 30 more figures to fully populate it. So.
Yeah. Well, Tim, I hope you can actually eventually finish this, mate. I think it should be done.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Before I die. It's funny, I turned 50 end of last year, and you suddenly start looking at your pile of lead and think, I'm not sure I'm ever going to paint all of these before I die. And it's something that only just creeps up on you now, midlife. It's like, I'll start either painting them or sell them. Because I'm sure once I go, my wife or my daughter will be like, we don't want these. We'll go to the charity shop or be thrown in the bin. And I'm like, no, we don't.
Yeah. I can understand that, mate. You know, it's funny, isn't it? Because, you know, I'm 48 now. Mate, time bloody flies, isn't it? You know, it goes so quickly. And, you know, you just don't have all that time. Well, you know, I've painted a lot of miniatures in my time. I've sold a lot of miniatures. I bought a lot of miniatures. I've still got a lot of miniatures that I want to paint and a lot of projects I want to do and things I want to fulfill. And I think it's for everybody. I think it's for every hobbyist. We're all in the same boat. You know, time is just sort of our greatest enemy in some respects.
You always think you have more time and you put these things off. It's like, oh yeah, I'll do it next year. I'll do it next month. And then it passes by, and then something new project comes along, and DieHard comes along. And before I know it, I'm having to paint all my own miniatures rather than the original Games Workshop figures. And that is the early Tyrannid, the prototype. I repainted from the green one.
That's beautiful job, mate. Nice.
It was just another figure. I mean, we used to find figures all the time at Games Workshop and in the studio, and several of them would get liberated. And he was one of them that I'd found in a drawer. No one wanted it, so he came home.
Amazing. Now, this guy here, now, I'm sorry if it's in the wrong order, but we've got some lovely shoulder detail here of this Inquisitor Terminator, Augustus.
Yes, he will be eventually in the diorama as well. He'll be at the bottom area. And I think yet again I got told off for using the wrong iconography, adding like wolf stuff to an Inquisitor.
How very dare you, Tim? How very dare you?
I know. It's very naughty.
Well, I'm sure the Space Wolves had Inquisitors in their retinue.
I'm sure. What they do now.
Yeah.
In my universe, in the multiverse, it's fine.
I don't see why not. So, but yeah, beautiful paint job on this, mate. When did you actually paint this one? You painted it back in the studio?
That would have been back in the studio. It might have even gone in White Dwarf. I'm not sure. They might have told me off for the banner, but yes, it was just before I left. It's about 93, I think.
No, very impressed with this piece, mate. And it's nice to see models in, you know, like when we look at the old White Dwarves, of course, there's a lot of times, it's like 30 odd years ago now, 20 or 25 years ago. So the quality of the pictures aren't that great. Now we can see, your collections photographed in high definition, so we can really showcase the models in their true quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. White Dwarf, I used to call him the headhunter because he'd collected Titan heads on a chain.
Yes, I saw that. It's an impressive looking model. That's a Revenant Titan, I believe. Yeah, for Epic.
I think so. Yeah, you're asking someone who's been out of Games Workshop for a while, so yeah, names are irrelevant now. I know it's Titan. I know it's Eldar.
Yep. Would you say that Jez Goodwin's probably your biggest fan as far as miniatures are concerned, like miniature design and that kind of thing? Especially,
I think so. Definitely the way the tightness of his designs and the style was brilliant. I love his stuff. I also love the Perrys, just for the character that they put into their figures and the ease that they just sculpt is amazing. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to put together and to animate a bit more to get his leg up and give it a bit more character.
There's a lot of conversion work, extensive conversion work in the models we've seen so far in the collection there, Tim. So that's not an easy feat. I mean, you got to paint the model, but then if you're going to convert it, it takes a pretty brave modeler to do it. You know what I mean? You have to really stuff up your model, especially for us. I mean, we had to buy the models. I was about 17, 18, so that kind of generation, that kind of era. So it was quite a brave thing if you wanted to convert stuff.
Especially if they're expensive models as well, and certainly models these days. If you're buying these old figures, you have to be brave to cut them up.
Absolutely. Now, this is one of Jez's. This is one of the. It's also like a Titan.
Yeah, they were like knight figures, weren't they? So they were.
Knights.
One was like a centaur, and the other one was a normal. The top part is basically a different figure completely. And yeah, it was a nice conversion. I'm sure I've got some more that I haven't painted yet that I have converted to be centaurs. Wow.
Now this one really struck me as like just being amazing, like in terms of like shield freehand and that kind of thing. Now we're seeing this model really close up, so it just gives you a really good sense of the detail and artistry that's gone into the miniature itself. Mate, is this something from the studio days?
Yes, that would have been, I think, in Realms of Chaos 2 as well as White Dwarf. It was a warband I'd put together, and the shield was inspired by a heavy metal band at the time. Trying to think who they were.
Wasn't
Don't listen to it anymore. But yeah, it was from the cover. The cover art was really brilliant. It was all these like twisted, stretched faces. I could put that on a shield, I think.
Wasn't Iron Maiden? Wasn't Eddie?
No. I'm trying to think. I've lost it at the moment. Yeah, I'm sure it was something like Altars of Madness was the album, but we went to see the band, and I was on. If you find the band's YouTube video, it was filmed at Rock City, and I'm at the front of the audience.
Oh right, okay.
So, yeah. That was very fun, very deafening, very headbangery evening.
I bet, mate. Yeah. And now we're going into this image. I definitely have seen in one of the White Dwarves when it had your sort of feature article in yourself from the studio, the Heavy Metal team. Now this is quite something. Being a Dark Angel fan myself, I really liked your take on the Dark Angels, because painting green is not really one of my strengths, and I think the way you did it really accentuated that green and gave it a lot of warmth, lots of nice yellow highlights and that kind of thing.
yeah, I really enjoyed painting that, and just putting it together. It's like the last stand. So there's two different groups. There's the first company and second company kind of mixed together. And yeah, it's I do like making gribbly stuff as well. So having someone with his stomach blown open and blood guts hanging out was something I liked doing when I was like teenager. So yeah, it was a good bit of fun. The slate was from a beach when I went on holiday in Devon, and I just painted that up. The kind of growths on the thing there, they were from a previous job that I did as a electroplating. They were actually these kind of bits off the framework that would be lowered into the baths, and it just kind of grew. So I kept those. I thought they would be useful, and obviously I've put them into the diorama.
Wow. Yeah, again, a lot of freehand work, which is really lovely to see. And again, that's just, you know, an extra skill people need to learn and develop over time. I've had to do the same, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we came into painting at this age where transfers were not a thing, and if you wanted to the iconography on your marines, you had to do it by, you know, just do it yourself kind of stuff. And now, of course, people have the luxury of getting transfers and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And you'd have to train yourself well to be able to copy it again and again on each right. shoulder pad to get the same kind of markings. It was definitely a pain in the ass in the old days. But then you didn't have to bend a transfer around a shoulder pad. It was easier in that respect. And it's all down to breaking it down into its components. So getting where the center is, and just it's the same with checkers. I mean, to do good checkers, you just have to make the basic lines, clean it up, and then fill in each square. And it's just training your mind. It's the same with sculpting. You break everything down into its components, and you basically work on top of each other until you've got the final piece.
So how long would it take to paint one of these models, do you think, Tim? Like how long would it take? Would it take a day or two to paint one?
Probably the basics you could get down in a day, and then the detailing maybe another day to paint the iconography on.
And was this something that was requested of you to make in the studio, or was it something like it's a personal project you did yourself and you brought it to the studio and they photographed it, or how would that sort of work?
I think they were quite happy that you'd go away and do your own personal projects that they could use. So we might paint during like a lunch break or after hours. We could carry on painting, or I could take it home and work from home as well. And they'd like to see it and then say, yeah, we can put that in White Dwarf. We can use it.
And were you actually a gamer during this time, or were you just more of a painter and collector of miniatures?
I was quite, I think it was 70-30. I would prefer collecting them gaming. I think that was always my case before I joined Games Workshop. But when you're inside a company like that, you could play test up and coming games. And it was there to be played. So yeah, I quite liked playing some of the games that we had coming out at the time.
Nice, mate. Now this Ultramarine Captain featured in the same article in the White Dwarf, as I remember.
Yes.
And another stunning paint job. I mean,
thank you.
Yeah, no, honestly, mate, the colors just glow. You know what I mean? They glow off that miniature.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite figures. I mean, I liberated the base from there. I think they were old Golden Demon bases that we found in a box. There was tons of them. So I've still got several that I haven't used yet. And yeah, we used to use the photocopier. So we'd design, there was no kind of doing it on a computer. We would draw the designs out. And the only thing that we could technically do is make the design bigger and smaller, and then we just photocopy it and print it out, and then paint. So it was just a black and white banner, and then you would paint the details in.
Mm. Wow. I think also this miniature was featured in the same article, the Die Avenger.
I think so.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Are these models from your personal collection, or these models you painted for the studio?
Personal collection. Yeah, that's at home, happily on a shelf.
Nice.
Gathering dust.
Again, all Jez Goodwin designs too, so I can tell your love for Jez Goodwin's stuff. And
yeah, it was just clean. I mean, it's hardly dated at all. I mean, if someone made that now, people would be happy to buy it.
Yep, I totally agree with that, mate. I think they're just timeless, those models. They're still beautiful today.
Absolutely.
Now, this one, I've never seen actually a Palanquin of Nurgle painted, so this is a really interesting one for me.
All right.
And this is your personal collection, yeah, again?
Yes, he's another converted champion.
Awesome. In fact, yes. Now that you say that, I can see it's one of the Nurgle champions that was on foot with that bird, and you've converted that, yeah? Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. I think that might have even appeared in Realms of Chaos 2, Bubonicus, possibly. Just adding little bits. I did the like the plague skulls that they seal with wax and then they throw into battle and they burst open. There's a couple of those hanging off one of the banner poles.
Yep. Yeah, fantastic. And I think Kev Adams did all the snotlings at that time as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he was crazy for snotlings. Those crazy little like goblinoid kind of characters.
Yeah,
put so much detail into them. Bit of himself, I think.
Okay, now this is another model that was featured in that same article in White Dwarf. I actually don't know the White Dwarf number. I'm sorry, but I do remember that article that you were featured in, and it had this particular model as well, the Howley Banshee Exarch model.
Another one that I was told off for the colour scheme, but
okay, I really like your colour scheme, mate. I like the black. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I it just suited it well. I like the original colour scheme, but it's nice to play with these things. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Now these are interesting. These are, I believe, are these Citadel miniatures Dark Elves?
Yes. My brain has forgotten their name again. They're the command group.
Sure.
The Dark Elf command group from the Regents of Renown.
Right.
Yeah, I quite like the Dark Elves. I've got a ton that are half painted at the moment in a box somewhere.
Right, okay. Another project to get to, mate.
Exactly, before I die. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Don't die soon. Keep healthy, go to the gym, mate. Keep going to the gym.
I know.
But lovely little eye detail, yeah, the pupil of that eye, it looks amazing. Very cool. Yeah, I've not seen these miniatures before, so that's something new to me.
I think the Perry twins sculpted them, I think. And I think that was just a regular Dark Elf, female Dark Elf.
But this one looks pretty cool. This is like Renegades of Chaos is another Perry design, yeah, with a slight conversion with one of the Kev's Nurglings on top.
Yeah. I think they were in Realms of Chaos 2 as well, I think, but probably in White Dwarf.
Yeah, I love all these old models. The old Chaos Marines are the best.
Yeah, definitely. So full of character.
Yeah, full of character, and the backpacks are just awesome. And yeah. About them were just fantastic.
Cool.
Okay, so here we come to the DieHard Miniatures camp. This is a Kickstarter campaign, is that right, Tim? Would you like to talk us through?
Yes. Yeah, it's running currently. It'll end, I think, in 13 days.
Right, so these miniatures, were they designed by yourself?
Yes. this guy had previously done a shark guy for Mantic for one of their kind of Blood Bowl games. I always thought I'd like to do another one for myself. So yes, he was a handy conversion.
And these are sort of, they look very much inspired from Judge Dredd. Would I be right there? Or sort of
yes, when I was a kid, I started collecting 2000 AD, and I loved it. It was always something that's lurking in the back of my mind. And some of the designs are influenced by them and Games Workshop, obviously, and any other kind of artwork that comes in, it feeds the imagination. Yeah,
this particular miniature has that sort of very much a Judge Dredd aesthetic to it, like one of the judges, with the sort of knee pads, shoulder pads, and the elbow pads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not crazy close, but yeah, I mean the color scheme doesn't help it. the black and the green and the yellow, definitely give it kind of law enforcement Dredd-esque.
For sure. And who's this little critter here?
He's like a companion droid. He's like a ball droid, but playing with different ideas for. I mean, this is a conversion of another one that had just a single arm attaching it to its ball. And yeah, I just like doing droids as well.
Cool. And this looks like from another IP altogether, maybe a Star Wars vibe to
it. Yes. Another conversion. I decided to make this one female this time. Originally, he had like a different kind of alien head, and tweaked it and made it into a crew member.
Cool. Now these guys look pretty interesting. I love their helmets and face masks and that kind of thing.
Yeah, these are another influence from a certain comic. The helmets just tie the unit in together nicely, and yeah, I really like them. The first unit of 5 sold really well, so this is a second unit now. So you could combine both units together to make a 10-man unit.
And here they are again. I like these skull-headed type guys. What was the inspiration behind these undead type troops, Matt?
I always thought that if someone were to die in battle, that when they came back, they would just be using the same equipment. It always made me laugh when Games Workshop would have these flamboyant undead, and it's like, when you die, you have to go to Undead R Us kind of outfitters to put so much kind of crap on top of you, whereas in reality, the necromancer will raise whatever is on the battlefield. And so yeah, these are basically, I'd find it more scary to be facing your own comrades in your armor, your uniform, but just dead. It would be so much more scary. So yeah.
Cool. And we see some more of these very much like Boba Fett or the Mandalorian type looking guys here.
Yes, the helmets are definitely inspired by a certain program.
Yeah, good program.
But they also have separate heads. So I always say when I'm selling them that these are free helmets, that you're not actually buying the helmet. You're buying the miniature that has a normal head. But you do have the option, if you so wish, to put these free helmets onto your figures. So, and
will there be an actual game rule system or something like that accompanying these miniatures at some time in the future? Is that the plan, or is it your like initial plan, or not? Those are like just sort of miniature agnostic type range, and people could use them for whatever system they would like to play in.
quite happy to just produce the miniatures at the moment. We've not really dabbled with rule systems. I find that there's so many systems out there already that unless I really took DieHard miniatures to the next level, which means employing people, it's a big step. I'm happy to just sculpt at the moment and fill these niches where people need miniatures for games. So.
Yeah, I was going to suggest Stargrave would be a perfect for these miniatures to accompany that type of system, where you have like a generic sort of, sci-fi system where people can, use any type of miniature they wanted for their crews and roll up their stats and what have you. I've never played that system, but I think that's basically what it is. It's just for people to grab whatever miniatures they have in their collection and make their own sort of gangs. Even for Necromunda or something like that, they could use these models perfectly for that system too, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I'm part of the Stargrave Facebook group, so I keep seeing things all the time coming up with people using the DieHard miniatures in there. Yeah. And every now and again, I'll put a cheeky kind of thing up saying, "Hey, look at my crew." And I get so much response, and people are like, "Where are these from? I've not seen these before." And it's like, it always amazes me how people haven't seen. You think you've put your fingers in every pie, but people still come up saying, "I've never seen these before. Where can I get them?" So yeah, you really have to keep pushing and putting it out there.
Well, I hope this video will help you get some more awareness out there, mate, of your ranges and of the Kickstarter that's currently happening now, so people can jump on that and check out what you've got there.
Absolutely. I mean, I appreciate all the help that anyone can give just by getting the word out there and spreading the word.
Sure. Yep, no problem at all, mate. So, yeah, these look perfect for a Necromunda. These look like an Underhive gang, for sure.
Yeah, they're
very low tech.
Some more kind of comic inspired kind of helmets and stuff. But yeah, they are pretty cool. A lot of fun to paint. Yeah, these are elite bounty hunters again. The first set sold really well, maybe to do with the helmets, I'm not sure. But yeah, these make a nice addition to the original 5.
Yeah, I'm liking these undead guys. They look really cool.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Just playing around with giving them kind of force sword kind of things. Also, the one on the far right is, as I mentioned, to face someone who's wearing your same armor but is now dead. Is quite striking. So he's obviously an E Corp ex-employee. But yeah, lots of fun to paint and sculpt.
And I think that brings us to the end of the collection here. So I'll leave in the show notes for everybody links to the Kickstarter campaign there for you, Tim. So I hope people will at least give it a chance and have a look at what you've got there, and I hope for you, mate, that it's going to be a great success again. Now, I'm thinking that this is not the very first Kickstarter campaign. Is that right, Tim? You've done quite a few before in the past.
Yeah, I try and get one done every year. So this is the 8th Kickstarter we've run now, and then each time the Kickstarter finishes and fulfilled, then all the new miniatures then go onto the website. So it just keeps fueling the website, and then the next campaign, it'll be next year's fantasy. So it'll be, I think, Undead and the Urakin, which are like a slan race. So they'll be fighting in the swamps. So looking forward to that.
Okay, Tim, well, thank you very much for coming on today, and I really appreciate your time, and thank you very much, and all success for your campaign coming up soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much. Take care, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. I'd like to thank Tim for coming on to show us his collection of painted miniatures from the 90s and his current stuff with DieHard miniatures. So please check out the show notes for all the links to the websites and anything related to DieHard miniatures and the campaign itself. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.